Something's rotten in Denmark.
Also in Georgia. I don't know what's going on in Denmark. Offset hasn't been there as far as I know, but he was arrested in Georgia on Friday, and there's some really bizarre circumstances surrounding this based upon what the police say happened when they pulled him over.
So we have been telling you since we broke all of this that Offset was arrested. It started as, crossing a double yellow line, and it ended with him going to jail for felony gun possession. He is a felon, not allowed to have a gun. There were guns in the car. He says they were the bodyguards, but the cops arrested him. So his lawyer says this is just the classic example of the hip-hop cops trying to bring down a rich black rapper.
That they were looking for some excuse to pull over a rich black guy in an expensive car. Just
he was in a Porsche,
to find a way.
Very fancy. They probably recognized that it was Offset, and then therefore, well, highly.
So
but that they were looking for some reason to search the car.
There is something that makes no sense, and here's what it is. The cop who arrested him, this police report, Charles and I both read it, it's so vague. I mean, it's so bare bones. So you can't make out exactly what went down. But what the officer himself says is, I saw him cross a double yellow line. Right. We don't know how many times, but he crossed a double yellow line.
And by the way, it's fair to say that if he crossed it once, there's reason why you would look at that and think,
because, okay, maybe the guy, I don't know, was under the influence,
possibly
maybe?
impaired.
So he stops the car, and he says he smells marijuana inside.
So if you see someone cross a double yellow line,
which means you're not driving right.
Right, and then the officer walks up and you smell marijuana, the first thing that I would think, logically, the officer is looking for is,
pull him out of the car.
Are you impaired?
And you have him do a field sobriety test. Get out of the car and walk a line. And if there's any question about that, you can take him to the hospital and you can get a search warrant, and you can draw blood, and you can see if he had marijuana in his system.
Right, but if you get a search warrant, what is your PC? I saw his eyes glassy, he was slurring his speech.
Yeah,
None of that's there. None of that's there.
No, but if he was going in and out of traffic, then you would automatically have thought that he was impaired.
Well, and by the way,
because
Dennis,
why was he not driving behind the double lines? That situation did not happen, obviously.
We have no idea whether his eyes were glassy. We have no idea whether his speech was slurred, because the officer didn't say any of that in the report.
There's some facts missing in this report.
Well, here's what we know. We talked to the police department, and we spoke to somebody high up in that police department. He didn't say, oh, we didn't have justification. What he said is, these cases are hard to prove, so we didn't do it. That was their explanation. That comes from the department. They didn't say we didn't have reason. They just said, oh, these cases are hard to prove. Well, cases are hard to prove, all the time, but they go ahead and they do it. And they didn't do it here.
That's not a good answer from the department. That is not a good answer.
That's what we got.
The fact that and what Offset's attorney is trying to say is that, not trying to say, he is saying, this is evidence that they were just looking for some reason to search the car and to arrest him, and that this was never about, him driving about an unsafe driver.
It was an excuse to stop him, to search the car, and then to do what they did. And by the way, we still don't know if Offset's agreeing that there was a smell of marijuana in the car, because we haven't heard from him on that. But if there was, taking what the cops say at face value, why didn't they pull him out of the car and at least check it out? He's swerving and there's marijuana. I mean,
something stinks.
Something stinks.
Hi, this is Onika. I'm from Queens, New York. I think it could be a setup, because look at all of the things that the government tried to do to NWA. When you rap about negative things, you make yourself a target. I mean, it's not fair. I'm not saying that it's right. It's never justified. But, I mean, when you add fuel to the fire, you kind of get a fire. So if you rap about guns and drugs and all of this stuff, they're going to be looking at you, because they're going to think that that's what you're basically affiliated with. So, they got to come down with the things that they're affiliated with.
Fair point.
All right.
And it's actually a fair point. Okay.